Hey everyone, it's Strange Michael. I hope you're doing well today, and welcome back to another bunch of Friday reviews. I just talked about a 2004 Van Helsing movie, which I love deeply. Not perfect though, but this I'm about to talk about is basically a 10-year later Van Helsing of its own time. From 2014, this is Dracula Untold. I'm going to be upfront with you just to kick off this review. As I said, my taste may already be in jeopardy for what your viewership feels towards my video, but I love Van Helsing. It's not perfect, it's a little messy. Dracula Untold, I love. I think this is fantastic. The only complaint I have anywhere in the movie, basically, is towards the very end when they try to set up a cinematic universe, which was something we all knew. This was supposed to be the first of that. This didn't do well at the box office. They chopped it out of the whole lineup. Did the terrible 2017, I think it was, Tom Cruise Mummy movie, which was rough, man. It was really, really rough. I love Dracula Untold. I love almost everything about it, and I'm not afraid to say that I think this is better than Van Helsing, despite everybody hating both of them. I don't know why. I don't get it. They're not going to be for everybody. But for people like me who are huge Universal Monsters fans and huge fans of just these characters like Dracula and stuff, yeah, this is a different interpretation of Dracula, but I think it's a really good, blast, fun version of it that I love. This, just like Van Helsing, and this is why I compare the two and why I kind of watched the two back to back. Van Helsing is kind of a steampunk version of like these Universal Monsters to kind of remake them when Universal was trying to do that. Stephen Sommers made that movie, who made the original Mummy remake, which was awesome. I love it, with Brendan Fraser. Probably the best out of all of these movies. These remakes of these old classic monsters. But Dracula Untold is just like that in the sense of it's a period piece, way back when, like medieval days. You follow Dracula, who is actually, before he's called that, he is Vlad the Impaler. They actually go with that Bram Stoker influence, which was kind of what Bram Stoker said Dracula was based off with his book, from what I understand. But the Francis Ford Coppola movie, Bram Stoker's Dracula, starring Gary Oldman as Dracula, everybody loves the film. I hate it. Can't stand it. It's boring as hell. Well made, but it's boring. I don't like Butthead Dracula. I think it's stupid looking. I think that the influence of that movie on this movie is kind of wild. They do the Vlad the Impaler stuff, but they even have Dracula here still being a religious guy. They still have him, like, you know, doing his impaling, being kind of an emperor, but there in the Bram Stoker Dracula film, he was still a bad guy, just like the book dictates. This is more of taking Dracula and making him into an anti-hero. I'd be lying to you if I said it didn't work. I really, really like it. I really love it, matter of fact, is really the word to use. The casting here is really solid, even though some of it's more of trendy stuff. Having Luke Evans play Dracula here is weird, because Dracula, he's good in the role. He's actually my second favorite Dracula of all time, behind Bela Lugosi. Not because he stands out amazingly well, but it's more about the writing of this version of Dracula that I like. It's kind of like when you take Venom from villain to hero. I love both, but I kind of like the anti-hero thing more sometimes. I don't know, it's kind of a controversial opinion, I would say, but I still like both, you know? Dracula Untold essentially is Vlad trying to protect his kingdom after, I think it's the Turks come in and they say, hey, we need your kid, we want all of your children in the village to come serve our army, to protect our land, whatever. We're gonna take them, you're gonna come deliver them to us. And the day of, Vlad kind of goes nuts. He kills a bunch of those army deliverer guys that come to get his kid, and he's determined he's not only going to protect his family and his kingdom too, but he's also going to protect their land. And the only way he can do that, going up against this massive army that now begun to come for him, led by Dominique Cooper from the Need for Speed movie, the villain there, he decides to go into a cave that he and some of his men had discovered accidentally at one point, that happened to have an old, decrepit Charles Dance, played by vampire. Now, I don't remember who they said that was going to be. There was a like trivia thing you can read on IMDb of who that vampire was. It was like either a fictional character or a historical figure, something like that. But it was pretty cool. Was it Caligula? I think is what I remember hearing. I don't know. I could have the name wrong. I don't even know who Caligula is, but I know the name from somewhere. Anyway, that vampire, the second time Vlad goes to this guy, he says, look, I want to protect my kingdom, blah, blah, blah. Can I become like you and be able to do that? The guy gives him all of the rundown about, hey, you can't go in the sunlight. If you drink my blood out of this cup in 3 days, and you don't bite anybody else within that 3 days, you will turn back to your normal self within 3 days' time. By the dawn of the third day or something like that. You could die from silver, you could die from sunlight, you could die from all these things. Vlad takes up that deal with the devil to protect his land, and now he has all these powers. He can only really go out at nighttime, and if he's out during the day, he has to stay in the shade and stuff. I don't think he sleeps anymore. If I remember correctly. Maybe that's out of the film, it would make sense, but then where does the coffin stuff come in later on in the franchise, I guess, if they kept making these, but they don't have that. Vlad can like run really fast and almost endlessly. He can jump off cliffs and survive. He basically becomes an anti-hero, superhero, comic book hero. And a lot of people hate that about this. They think it's too much like trying to be like Marvel and DC and comic book trends and stuff. I don't see why that's a problem. Aside from idiot audience members saying, oh, it's trying to rip everybody else off. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. This was so well done. I love the directing of it. I think it's so beautifully shot. Certain angles in the movie, like there's this one scene where somebody gets stabbed with a sword, the camera zooms in on the blade of the sword, and we see all the battle happening around us in the background, but also in the reflection of the sword. It is such a great shot that I've never seen in anything else, ever. Ever. It's such a good shot. You've never seen that in movies, and you want to tell me this movie's bad? You're an asshole. Anyway, the director of this film, Gary Shore, I believe is his name, he had not done much at all before this. He has not done much after this, which is a shame. Two of the writers, the only writers on the movie, were also the folks who went on to write Morbius and Madam Web. Sadly. I hate that for them. I feel bad for them because Morbius is not as bad as people make it out to be. It's bad for a normie. It's not bad for people like me who have watched a million movies, but it's not a good movie. You know, it's just really watchable and stupid to me. It kind of loses me about halfway through the film. But all of the creativity that was in this movie never made it to movies like that. I haven't seen Madam Web yet, despite wanting to, because I've heard so many things. And I don't mind the Sony movies. I'm a huge fan of Venom, as I've already brought up for this review. But anyway, one of the writers also went on to write I think it was 2017 Power Rangers movie. And I love that. I thought it was a great movie, aside from the costumes being debatably not so Power Rangers, but kind of newer, modern Power Rangers. I don't know. I like some of their work, if I'm being honest with you. It's a taste thing. But this specifically stands out from the rest of their career, and I think Dracula Untold's better than their Power Rangers movie. They both didn't work on the Power Rangers movie, but the one who did, this is better than that, even in my personal opinion. So one of the other powers Dracula has that gets a little overused, but I understand why, because of all of the huge armies he has to fight to protect his land and his people and his family, is bats. Bats and bats and bats. If he swings his arm too fast in a fight, or even taking a shower or something, it's going to be a bunch of bats and screeching. All the time. There are moments where he's trying to save people that I'm like, you could have killed that person by freaking them out by a bunch of bats flying at them, because I'm sure bats are not popular then, just like they're not popular now. He can turn into huge swarms, just disappear into swarms of bats. Other bats that aren't a part of him recognize that he's one of their own, apparently, according to a piece of dialogue in here. So they all kind of work together. He can use them as a scout on the war field and all of that. It's really fucking cool. I love it. It's an action gothic horror movie, and it's sick. I love the vampire stuff, dude. You know how I talked about in my review for Van Helsing, that you probably saw right before this video, about the werewolf design? I love the look of the werewolves. I think they look so sick in Van Helsing. I feel the same way about the vampires in here. When you have the Charles Dance vampire in the cave, he's fucking creepy. Every time he or Vlad do something in the dark, their eyes are just barely lit up red. Just barely. It's almost like when you have a pet cat and they're hiding somewhere and you flash a light on, or you have your phone flashlight on and you see that reflection in their eyes. It's kind of like that. But it doesn't look apprehensively CGI. Even though there's a ton of CGI in here, it has aged so well in 10 years now. And I love it. Matter of fact, I have a small story for you. I wanted to see this so bad back when it came out in theaters, My family and I almost went to see it in the theaters. I eventually did like a week or two later by myself, but I wanted to go to this so bad. My family dragged me to see the Nicolas Cage remake of Left Behind, which at one point, for anybody who's never seen that, has Nicolas Cage arguing with a midget. It is great. I hate the movie. It's awful. One of the funniest bad movies I've ever seen in my life. Even as a Christian, I hate the movie. It's terrible. But I had to go sit through Left Behind. Do you know how much of like a crackhead neck scratch itch I had in my body to leave that room and go watch Dracula Untold without my family? It was rough, dude. This is an hour and a half long, and every time I watch it, I get chills multiple times. I get a little choked up at certain times because of how Vlad cares so much about his family. He loves them so much that he's willing to risk himself, almost like in a mimicry of Christ, but like an evil Christ in this situation, to protect everyone he loved. It's really, really well made, and I don't understand why people hate it. It's so passionately made in every way. Luke Evans tries his best, even though he's not a great actor, like I said. The writing is so good for Vlad. He's perfect for that role. He does so well with what he's been given. And I can't see anybody else playing the role. I really can't. I know I said he's not the best actor ever, but he fits this so well. The look of him when he goes into battle and stuff, he's wearing like that red dragon-looking war suit, kind of like the Francis Ford Coppola, Vlad the Impaler makeup outfit thing. It's kind of cool as a throwback to that. But I love the armor. I love it. It's really badass. There are so many scenes of the battles and stuff. Not that the film is filled to the brim with battles, but it almost goes in this dark fantasy way that it just looks sick. There's this like heavy metal cover looking frame at one shot where there's lightning just pouring down from the sky in different areas. Not just because of Dracula causing that, but just because of the situation. And it is sick. It is so sick, dude. I love it. The music is excellent, just like with Van Helsing. The CGI, like I said, holds up so well. I love the cast. I think even the kid playing his son is good. The lady playing the wife is really good when she's in here. The best friend character that kind of like is the king's right-hand man, he's really good in here for the few moments he's in here. But the entire film is focusing so much on Vlad, Dracula, whatever, that he just really does a great anti-hero story origin for him. And I love it. I love how he's kind of remorseful about the things he had to do in war, but he also doesn't regret it because of the people he saved in that situation. It's a good movie. It's a really good movie, and I cannot believe people hate it as much as they do. I went back watching old reviews from people who, when it came out, they talked about it. All the big YouTubers, Stuckman, Johns, everybody that was talking about it. I've watched newer reviews over the last couple of days of people talking about it. I don't get the hate for it. I don't understand it. I'll never understand it, ever. But anyway, after tons of rambling, I need to end this review. Dracula Untold is a movie that clearly I'm very, very passionate about, and I'm pissed that asshats and normies caused us to never get another one. Even though I don't like the ending setting up for the cinematic universe, the way they did it at the end of this, I don't mind the cinematic universe, but I don't like how they did it here at the ending. I would have loved to have seen more. They were going to have so much that they were going to do. And it just sounded sick. Some of the things you heard about that they were going to do, it just sounded really, really cool. I wish we'd gotten it, and I'm still pissed. I can't believe we got a fucking Tom Cruise mummy movie that was bad. It was bad. It was really bad. Instead of getting more of this because of clowns. And then they had the gall to be like, the mummy movie wasn't that bad. Shut the hell up. Anyway, and then they would say, like, it's better than Dracula Untold. Can you believe that? Can you believe that, dude? Two great reboots here with Van Helsing and Dracula Untold, and both of them got shot down because of idiots and because of things like, well, Van Helsing didn't fail because of Twitter, but Dracula Untold, more, I would say, than anything, failed because of Twitter and YouTubers and shit. It's a great flick, and I recommend it highly. If you haven't seen Dracula Untold, you're missing out. This may come as a surprise to you, but if I had to rate it on a 5-star basis, it's getting higher than Van Helsing. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5 stars, man. I loved this. I thought it was such a blast. So much fun. I questioned the directions it was going to go in the future, but I loved the basic movie, what we got of this story of Vlad. I love that stuff. I love everything about it. I think it's beautifully shot. The cinematography is so good here. They really knew how to make it feel like you were in the medieval times, and it had such a great scope for kind of a small-scale movie that kind of took place in the same area the whole time. It was really great, man. I can't believe people hate the movie. Let me know your thoughts about Dracula Untold. I specifically want to hear from the Universal Monsters fans out there, because a lot of people had the approach of, like the opinion of, I guess, that they wanted these movies to be scary in this cinematic universe. Personally, I don't think you can make a cinematic universe scary. I don't think it'll work, especially with fan debates and everything else. But this movie was trying to make an action fun flick based on this whole current day trending in 2014 and even now. And I think it did a magnificent job, and I will never sit here and tell you it's bad, because it's not bad. It's a great flick, and I've watched it God knows how many times. I've seen it more than Van Helsing. It's phenomenal. So anyway, let me know all your opinions about Dracula Untold and Van Helsing down in the comments of this review and the previous review I just did for Van Helsing. I'd love to hear everything you have to say. Anyway, thank you all for watching, guys. God bless you all. Catch you later, and goodbye.